Howdy. Laoshi Lawrence McElroy here with Sasha, aka the cute thing of evil. So have a little competition for your attention in this video this time around. We'll see how it goes. May have to have somebody throw them out because there's another one here too. But anyway, so really, did I mention really late in getting this video produced and uploaded? We apologize for that. I could talk about why it happened, but that just makes it sound like I'm pulling away from the apology, and I'm just going to leave it at the apology. Sorry. This should have been done like almost 3 weeks ago, and it wasn't. So, in all reality, we're in what's supposed to be another YouTube video week, but obviously, we're not going to do two in 1 week. We might have some filler this week, though. We'll see. So, there's that. We're in the Qigong rotation, which sort of makes this shirt appropriate. This is the first time this shirt has made an appearance in our video series and our Facebook series and everything. This is the 2024 World Tai Chi and Qigong Day t-shirt. Didn't buy one myself, but I was gifted one a few weeks ago, so here it is in all its glory. But we are in the Qigong rotation, and we're sticking with our diversity by looking at various approaches, kind of a handful of approaches to each of the 8 pieces of brocade. We may not do all of the 8 pieces of brocade, but we're slowly working our way through. This is, for Water Tiger School, the 3rd piece of brocade, what we call split between heaven and earth. It goes by other names. So that will be the meat of the video. Our warm-up, we're going to return to Shibashi for a little Tai Chi Qigong-ish warm-up. It'll be the 3rd movement of the first set, what could be known as painting the rainbow. It has other names as well. We'll talk about that when we get to that particular piece. So I think that's really about it. I'm going to get a drink because you know me. Can't do this without a sip or 2 or 3 or 12 during a shooting. So, painting the rainbow, the 3rd piece. Throughout, in different ways, throughout the Shibashi set, there's a leg pump. Now, different people have different names, different approaches, different breaths, that sort of thing. And also, each of these pieces of the 18 movements from the first set, 18 in the second, 18 in the third, there are, depending upon your source, 6 to 8 different sets. Lin Hao-sheng, who is credited with creating the set, started in about 1979 and through, I think it was 92, if I remember right, or 1990-ish, built up the sets. And his website has a listing that indicates that there are 8 different sets. Most places you find online say that there are 6. Regardless, the first 3 are the most popular, the first 1 being the most popular yet. Generally, each exercise has some very specific health benefits. This is known just because in painting the rainbow, you're sort of doing a very subtle side stretch. You're getting a nice massage of the Sangio. So you're impacting respiration, digestion, and elimination. Almost all of them list blood pressure medication moderation throughout the 18 pieces. However, generally the set is simply done for general good health and well-being, and it's fun to do. It's very relaxing. It's very much into stress reduction. And if you follow traditional Chinese medicine at all, you know that, and even Western medicine, stress is the main cause of most of our illnesses, which stress can cause, from traditional Chinese medicine standpoint, blockage, stagnation, or an imbalance of qi in the body, from which all illnesses arise. So anyway, painting the rainbow, also known as dancing with rainbows, rainbow dance, painting the rainbow around the crown, that sort of thing. But there's not a lot to it. Again, there's a little, the leg pump here is basically, coming up lengthening the legs as you're in the center and arcing to the other side. And the upper body, you sort of have this upper body position. And as you arc to one side, the fingertips of that hand, one, in the plane of the body, and two, if I were to go all the way, I'd be touching the bak wei point, which is in the back third of the skull, but it's sort of pointing there. And you can, as you do the arc from side to side, sort of let the wrists be a little bit free as you move through it and follow from side to side. We'll just do about 3 pairs, I think. That'll be enough. I might change my mind and do 6. So feet, nice shoulder width distance. And for water tiger school, we define shoulder wide as where the drop of the shoulder is, should split the heel on that side in half. Same on the other side. Just getting into the breath. And I'm going to find an inhalation, bringing the hands up, an exhalation, and I'm going to arc into the left hip, so pushing the left hip out, compressing the right hip. Inhale in through the center, exhale to the other side. It's 1 pair. It feels like it's going to be 6. 2. And 2. Some will, look at that hand. 3. And 3. 4. I like the little extra twist in the neck myself. And 4, but others will keep their eyes fully forward. 5. And 5. Maybe we'll go to 9. 6. And 6. 7. And 7. 8. And 8. 9. And 9. Up. Down. And we'll just do our standard closing, which is palms down, up, out, away from the body, settling the vertical alignment, crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the right foot in alignment. That's what allows that left foot to float in. Press down. And then a little rebound. Brings the hands to the acupuncture point for this Xie Dantian. The official closing, balancing and storing the qi at the end of the 18 pieces, 18 movements of Shibashi. Very different. And by the way, I always, when we do something from Shibashi, I want to mention that according to our research, it's actually not pronounced Shibashi, it's Shibashi. But everyone we run across pronounces it Shibashi. So there you go. And some people say it stands for 18 movements, others simply 18. So can't be sure because we don't, I don't really speak Chinese. So that's the warm up. Our version, Water Tiger School's version of the standing 8 piece of brocade, credits back to Marshall Yefei. And originally there was supposedly 12 pieces. It was trimmed down to 8. It's different. And there can be, and probably throughout, you want to maintain the integrity of the exercise, but if you have to modify, you have to modify. For instance, in our split between heaven and earth, we're inside of shoulder width, which has a tightening effect in the torso. So when you move, if I'm wider, things are a little bit more open, so you get less of the muscular and tendon activation throughout the torso. But ideally, the hand that is up is once again in the plane of the body, not in front. Now that's difficult for people who have a shoulder impingement. And ideally my fingertips are right where the Bach waypoint would be. If I were to bring them down, my middle finger would be touching more or less the Bach waypoint, the 100 convergences at the crown point of the head. So what we tell people, and a lot of these pieces have the hand also, as a matter of fact, all of them have the extending hand up in the plane of the torso. So what you want to do, if you can't have it in the plane of the torso, is get it as close as possible. And then what we do at Water Tiger School is pretend, imagine that you want to pull the hand back, but somebody's blocking your way, so you're pressing back against it. So you have a little isometric press back as well as the isometric movement up. I hope that makes sense. So in other words, I'd be here, imagining there's a wall or a hand there, and I'm pressing against it. That's going to create some of the same muscular activation and tendon activation I would have if I were in the plane of my body, in our version and in other versions. Not all of them, but most of them. So there you go. You breathe when you have to. We have some relatively long holds in our version, so you breathe when you have to. But the expansion of chi is on the movement apart. The compression of chi is as the hands move into our middle position. Now, our source material actually has the ready position as being sort of almost even with the solar plexus and palms up. We go higher at Water Tiger School. So in a couple of our pieces, the fourth and the eighth, this is known as third position, because the fourth and the eighth have three different hand positions. One is just the arms are down, two where the hands are on the Shen Yu, and three is this position. And we like third position. It's almost like, you know, Radar O'Reilly outside of the colonel's tent with the little sun reflectors coming up underneath his chin, right? But I'm not raising my shoulders at that point. So that's where we begin, and then split. Now, again, Marshall Yuhafe is credited with the origin of this, and I'm going to read the original poetry, our translation of it, more of an edit than a translation. I want to read it because I want to get all the words right. So, to adjust and regulate the spleen and the stomach. It comes in that phrase, that opening phrase comes into some of the naming conventions of the different versions we're going to do. To adjust and regulate the spleen and stomach, lift singly, spleen and stomach gain peace and harmony. Sickness cured intuitively, lift the arm and push the palm, force to rock, important. Extend to develop, tendons and muscles, spleen and stomach, calm. One hand high, one hand low, left, right. Extend and rock the tendons, and the channels thrive. So, I memorize an entire parable, but for some reason, the poetry gets to me. And you know, obviously, to adjust and regulate the spleen and stomach, that's one of the main therapeutic qualities. It tends to tone the core, helps you with stability and balance. And otherwise, without the stability and balance and the calm spleen and stomach, tend to get a little bit anxious, ungrounded, overthinking things like that. So those are all therapeutic qualities of the various versions of this particular piece of brocade, be it the second in your approach or the third in your approach, and it's the third in ours. So again, I'm going to bring my feet inside of shoulder width, just a comfortable stance, probably about hip width is what we normally suggest. And on the extension, to get that idea of rocking the tendons, it's not just up and lifting and down and pressing. I have striking energy in that separation. Even though we're holding it, We're not holding the breath, we're holding the extension of the qi from the Xia Dantian to the extremities. And the physical position, but it's more of a very strong pushing the palm, settling the wrist in the two directions. All right, so first version. Split between heaven and earth. Find a nice casual sort of expansion of qi so then you can compress back to the Xia Dantian, not the acupuncture point, the actual esoteric vessel. And then the first expansion, one up, one down. We'll do 3 pairs. And hold, sort of feel that almost taffy machine pull-like vertical twist in the torso. Not holding the breath, but continuing to expand. Knees are open here. There's no pump in the legs. And release. Hands form that should be a circle. If I were to stand up here, you'd see the circle on the floor. You can't really sort of see the circle behind me. First to the second side. Striking up, striking down, but holding that movement. Check in on the knees throughout. There's a tendency here because of that expansion to lift and straighten the legs. We want to keep the knees slightly open. Release, that's 1 pair down. By the way, 5 of the versions will be 3 repetitions each. And the 6th is actually a single repetition to each side. That's the way it's designed. Halfway home, this is the 3rd of 6, or the first half of the second pair. And release. This is the compression of qi to the Xia Dantian. Expanding. Continuing to expand the qi to the extremities and, beyond. Compressing. 2 pair gone. 4 of 6 repetitions. Here's 5. Notice I'm not there. Will be soon. And here's 6. Again, Bakwei points in the plane of the body. Returning to third position. Compression and continuing the compression. And just because we're us, your feet are closer together, so keep that in mind as you settle the alignment into the right foot. Bring the left foot in as the hands roll back over the top of the ball. A little press down, a little rebound. There's 1. Second is a much softer serve on this particular set. Again, there's no pump in the legs. Knees stay open. There's sort of a, you know what prayer hands are, right? This prayer hands, heels of the palms, pads of the 10 of the 2 together. So you're moving through a prayer hands-like position. It's not the only time we'll do this. And then separating heaven and earth is the second one. We're at shoulder width. This is a flow of movement. Some of them flow, some of them have a short hold, maybe not as long as ours, and then one has a really long hold. So I'm going to find an exhalation. Going to inhale into that open, separated prayer hands position. And then on the exhale, one down, one up, both in the front plane of the body. The up hand, in this case the left, is even but in front of the shoulder. The right hand, that is down in this instance, is in front of but even with the right hip. And then ideally there's no hold there, so it's an inhalation and exhalation. Notice the fingers are both sets of fingers are pointing toward the center line. And inhale and an exhale. And inhale and an exhale. And inhale. Last to the first side and an exhale, separating heaven and earth. In the set from which this is taken, it's the second piece. Last to the second side. Inhale, back to that open prayer hands. Exhale down. And again, though some people don't close, we're going to do our standard water tiger school closing. Just to let the body, mind, and chi know we're going to the next thing. 2 down. So the third, I want to get the name right, so I'm not going to try to hide that I'm reading the cue card. Raising the hand to condition the stomach and the spleen. There's sort of a funky transition here. The right is the first one up on this. The left is the first one down. Again, the funky transition. But we're shoulder wide. There's no pump, setting down a little bit into the body. And there's a cleansing at the end. By the way, a couple of the pieces have cleansings at the end. I'm going to find an exhalation. So a little casual expansion to an inhale to compress the chi. And the left is going down first and the right is going up first. Fingertips pointing in, and the extension is, pretty full. And again, ideally in the plane of the body. Lifting, you want to feel that isometric, pushing something that's resisting you down, pressing something that is resisting coming up. And here's the transition on an inhale. Both arms extend out and circle in. And now the left hand is up and the right hand is down. Feel that isometrics in the two directions, pressing something resisting you down and pressing something resisting you up. And that big circle. And in, and second to the first side. And circle. And in. Second to the second side, pressing against resistance in the two directions. As Water Tiger's perspective, that all the pieces of Brocade impact the Sangio in different ways. And I can feel, coming back in for the last pair, last to the first side, you can feel the various different ways there's a vertical twist in the torso. And everything's connected, so I can even feel that twist carrying down into the legs. Some of the pieces more than others. That circle wave, last to the second. And that was the right up first. We did the left in the first two pieces. And then a big circle, coming back where we were, and then that little cleansing. Again, up. And down. And a little, again, Water Tiger School closing. 3. Next, again, it's a long title, holding one arm aloft to regulate the functions of the spleen and stomach. You gotta love somebody who names a piece of brocade or any of our exercises or postures in our Tai Chi form that's an instruction in a way. So this does have a leg pump, a little bit inside of shoulder width. And that leg pump, the legs are supposed to be lengthened here. So very much sort of the straight and strong leg of yoga. So I'm not pushing the kneecaps back. That creates a backward bow. I don't know if that translates in the video or not, but I'm lengthening coming up out of the legs. And this one has the left up first. And again, we'll do our 3 repetitions. It's an inhale for the extension and exhale for the release. Sort of a reverse of what we normally do breath-wise. But that still means an expansion of the qi on the extension and a compression of qi on the release, even though the breath is different. So I'm going to find an inhalation. You raise up a little bit and then sink down. And it's sort of like in 5-position Zhangzhuan. In some versions, they have an exercise, one of the 5 positions, sort of holding the belly. That's the position we're kind of in here, holding the belly. We're down. And again, it's the left up first. So I'm going to inhale. I'm inside of shoulder width. Inhale and split. And then exhale and sink down. And then inhale. Pressing up, pressing down. Not quite as isometric as the last one. And exhale. That's one pair. Inhale. And again, pretty much in the plane of the body. And exhale. Second to the second side. Lengthening the legs, lengthening the spine. That's the inhale. This is the exhale. Oops, I almost did the prayer hands thing. Last to the first side, lengthening the legs, lengthening the limbs of the upper body. And a little leg pump. Down again. Exhale. Inhale. Last to the second side. Lean back. Exhale. And then we'll close. Again, that's the Water Tiger School closing. So there you go. 4. 5 has no name. This particular approach, just go through the set with no names. Some people don't name the piece of brocade. They may not even bother with, hey, this is the 4th or this is the 3rd. In this particular order, in this approach to the set, this is the 3rd piece. And it's actually done with the feet together. There is a slight leg pump on the release. So once again, there'll be, as I extend, I'm going to come up a little bit, and as I release, I'm going to go down a little bit. And this is the other one that has sort of the in-between, the transitional point, is this. You'll also notice something new that will carry into the 6th and the last variation on this particular theme. So it's not necessarily a breath pattern suggested, so I go with, when I do this particular approach to the set, I do the exhalation on the extension and the inhale on the compression. And again, the chi matching the same thing. So I'm going to find a little casual expansion of chi out to the extremities so I can find a compression and sink down a little bit and have that open prayer hands. And the right is going to go up first and the left down. And notice I'm turning and looking at that right hand up. And then inhale. And eyes back to forward. And then exhale and follow the left hand up as I lengthen the legs, not quite as straight as they were in the previous piece. And then inhale. It's one pair. And then exhale, second to the first side. That twisting torso, lifting, pressing up, pressing down. Again, not quite as isometric as the first one. Or ours, not the first one, but the third one. Or ours, not striking energy. Ours is the only one that has the striking energy. Again, following the hand down, and then following the other one up. Last to the first side. Inhale. Last to the second side. Exhale. Didn't quite get the right twist there. There we go. And then back to neutral. And down. And although my feet are together, I'm still going to lift the foot up and set it down. There's 5. Leaving us with the 6th. Didn't quite have the feline companionship that I thought we would have today. Well, at least you got a view of Sasha at the beginning, I think. We had a couple of false starts. We had to call cut and restart a couple of times. So this is Separating Heaven and Earth. So same title as the second, but a much different version. It's a little tricky on your neck. Do the best you can, because the first part of it is this, and then a twist. And the right is first. The right side is first in this one as well. And we're back to our standard shoulder width. There's a long hold. The first with the head straight back is a count of 5, more or less. And then as we twist and look at that hand, it's more like about a 20-second hold. And then this one also has the cleansing at the end. And notice the ready position, the elbows are high. Not here, not here, but just slightly higher than the shoulders. Same sort of breathing pattern that has been standard for most of these, with an exhale on the expansion and an inhale on the contraction. However, breathe when you have to, because we're holding this again for some time. So breathe when you have to. I should go back and restart that entire instruction again, because not the breath, but the chi expansion happens with the physical expansion, the chi compression as you release the expansion. Breathe when you have to, because of the holds. I haven't had to do that in a while. So there's no leg pump here. We stay in the same depth. Find that little expansion so you can compress. And again, the right first, folding, rounding the neck back, not compressing the vertebrae. So I'm looking right straight up past the hand into the ceiling, or, the heavens. From about our 5 count now, twisting, and looking up. Pressing up, pressing down. I'm still there. Releasing, being gentle with my neck. Back through where I started. Again, first, tilting the head straight back, looking at the ceiling. There's about our 5 count or 5-second hold. Twisting. Still there. Almost 3/4 of the way through. Knees are still open. Leg that I'm twisting toward more open than the other. Releasing. Again, being careful with the neck. The elbow up thing is a challenge for me. Down. Again, a little cleansing up. Down. Fingertips forward. Palms down-ish. Don't have to be parallel to the floor. Find that connection through the body. So shifting, settling the weight. Should take the same amount of time it takes for the hands to float up. Ideally, floating that left foot in takes the same amount of time it takes to roll the hands in. Pressing down. Redivides the weight equally between the 2 feet. I'm lengthening the body here. You couldn't hear my ubiquitous right knee pop. And settling in brings the hands to cover the acupuncture point for the Shia Dantian. And there you go. Little variety is the spice of Qigong. 6 different versions of what Water Tiger School calls split between, I haven't been drinking except tea, split between heaven and earth. Other people separating heaven and earth, or focusing on the fact in that original statement in the instructions, the poetry to adjust and regulate the spleen and stomach, right? So most people get their names from some version of the instructions. Or again, just say this is the 3rd piece, or this is the 2nd piece. By the way, that last one, the 6th of our demonstrations, came in as the 3rd piece of brocade in that particular set, in that particular approach. So, as always, thank you for your time and attention. I hope you found this interesting. I really sort of like this series a lot because it gives you the idea of all the variety. Everything's the same yet different, and how that diversity and different approaches. It's just sort of fun to explore. Sort of what we talk about when we do sort of these kind of comparisons in our Tai Chi forms and postures and that sort of thing is that what it does, if nothing else, it adds to the information that you have onto why it is you like the way that you're doing something, that your lineage is doing something. And maybe sometimes you find, maybe I want to explore, this different version. So there you go. We do our best to screen comments, though the YouTube algorithms doesn't always allow us to do that. Always welcome, suggestions, constructive criticism, not criticism for criticism's sake, because if that does go through, it's not going to stay up. A little bit more of a free for all, sort of the Wild West on Facebook. We do share a link to this video on our Facebook page, Water Tiger Tai Chi, as well. But sort of the same thing. You flame us and you'll get yourself banned from the Facebook page. But again, other things, maybe other ideas. Where do you want to see the Qigong series go? Where do you want to see the Tai Chi series go? That sort of thing. And again, these are just workshops. This is not just a reminder, this is not my studio. This is the basement of my residence where I home office. And that's where we shoot. So anyway, enough. Be safe, be well. And again, thank you for your time and your attention.